Welcome to Sword and Staff. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Robinson, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host,
Richie Brock.
And on today's episode, we're going to be dropping a patron exclusive. Ward Honey from Dark Holler is here in front of me. He is filming me. He's pointing his camera at me. And we're going to be answering some questions for him.
I thought that was a thing. You're not supposed to look at the camera.
Well, I've just broke rule number one. I just broke.
Be professional here, Josh.
I'm being as professional as I can be. What's the secret cipher of the Euphonauts?
I love how the camera just went right to me, like no
throwing you the ball,
and I'm tempted to throw it right back to you because
you're asking the wrong character here.
Do you realize how big of a kind of rabbit hole that whole thing is?
Okay, we'll just talk about where it comes from and who's given it. Who wrote the book, The Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts?
Well, ciphers in general have always been a means in the occult to communicate with spiritual beings, ultra-terrestrials, whatever you want to call them. But the one we're talking about now, the Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts, is a code that was developed by Alan Greenfield.
Where does he claim to get it?
From ritual contact with ultra-terrestrials, aliens, spirits, whatever you want to call them.
So these spiritual beings give him this secret cipher through ritualistic activity.
Right.
There you got it. All right.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it without sounding like crazy because it is crazy.
So basically, it's secret knowledge.
Right.
The veil between Logan and if you thought it was thinner. So like when you first asked me that question, I was like, no. Like this is the Bible Belt. Even if your kids don't go to church, they know who hung the moon. Like it's just understood. And I was like, no, there's no way that this place is thinner than like somewhere else. And then I started reflecting on my life. And I'm like, you played with a Ouija board at your grandma's house. Like, and your aunt did a seance circle in the dark with you, and your family has seen stuff at an old house, and I'm like, is it thinner here? Like, do other kids grow up the way that we grow up? With all these like little, what we see as insignificant things but have a big impact on us, like, is it? So, I would say that I wonder now.
You know what I mean? Like in the mornings whenever I'm going to work, you got like Dodge and like 10 or 15 of them going down the road. Like they'll just be screaming in the air or fighting something, or talking to something, pointing at something. You're just like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like it's insane around us. I mean, just that type of action.
It's a fairly common thing.
Oh, dude, you go up 17, you go up Route 85, just anywhere in this remote area where it's economically declined severe and people has lost everything. They turn to drugs. And people look at them, they're like, well, it's just the drugs. But like, dude, well, who's he talking to walking down the middle of the road?
Yeah, now I wonder. Now I wonder that.
So I remember Craig ended up in Cabell Huntington Hospital. They all put it off as, you know, it was just
more or less like a psych ward type thing.
a nervous breakdown, I guess. he was gone for about 2 months after that. I guess he was in the hospital for 2 months. And there was still other crazy things that would go on at home. Like we would hear things, and but never nothing like that. And Bob left. Bob went to Ohio. He didn't come back. And then we moved, and that's when we moved to Man. And go figure, who would believe that we moved into a home that used to be a funeral home, but we did.
And I would only visit that place. I didn't live there.
What happened, man?
Well, there was one night I was sleeping in the bed upstairs, and I felt something sit down next to me on the bed. You know, like it was wanting to lay in the bed with me. I thought it felt like a person sitting in the bed with me. At the time we had at that time she was our youngest daughter, and she's probably, I don't know, 5 maybe. And the next morning, I seen her laying downstairs, and I asked her what was she doing on the mattress when she went to bed with us. She said Leah had pushed her out of the bed. I said, Leah? I said, Leah wasn't even with us.
How many people was living in that house at that time?
At that time, there were 4 of us. But even people which you know how the family is, when we get together for Thanksgiving or whatever, a lot of people come in and they stay. Everybody that's came in and stayed even has experienced it.
Was your dad like a religious man at all?
Very, yes.
Like as far as he would call himself a Christian?
Absolutely. That man packed especially when he moved into that room upstairs, because I don't know why, but whatever that was, it stayed in that room upstairs. Never came out of that room.
It was just in your dad's room?
It was actually my room. But after what had happened to me, I never went back up there again, ever.
And then the next night, I was laying in the bed trying to go to sleep, and I heard something. You could hear it hit the floor. And I don't know if you ever heard a dog with long claws coming across the floor, you know, like a hardwood floor. That's what it sounded like.
When I could hear it walking, almost like it had, because it was hardwood floors, you could hear it walking across the floor, like coming toward you.
But I knew it was heavy, whatever it was. Because when it hit the floor, you could feel it. I was in the bed and I felt it. And when it come across the floor, well, I didn't stick around, so I was gone. I took off. I just told everybody what I experienced.
I know you guys are going to think that I'm crazy, but this has not just happened to me. It's happened to Daniel. It's happened to Lee, Craig, my dad.
Just in this house or just throughout the room?
No, just in this house. It would sit down, you could feel it sit on the bed. And almost like when it would touch you, it would be very cold. That only happened to me once, and I never did go back up there, ever. But it happened to them several times, and with my dad a lot. And I think the reason why it did what it done to my dad is because he kind of provoked it a little bit, because he would pack his Bible around and he would literally preach to it.
So this is something like that was a regular occurrence that your dad would come across?
Yes. He stayed up there. And we couldn't even understand why he would even sleep up there, but he did.
Did you tell him about your dad at the house, man?
What about them pushing him down the steps?
Yeah. All right, let's talk about that.
He was coming down the steps that day, and he said that they shoved him. He felt them put their hands on his back and shove him. And if you ever asked him about it, he would tell you exactly what happened.
What was the they that shoved him?
What?
You said that they shoved him.
They, whatever. I know there was more than one person or one thing in that house doing things.
What was it? I mean, what did he say that it was?
I don't know. He just said he felt like somebody just shoved him down the steps. You know, as he was coming down the steps, there was nobody up there.
I'm assuming that he felt that he was close enough to God that, nothing was going to bother him.
Right.
And the day that it literally pushed him down the steps, he even said that there was something that had a hold of both of his shoulders and shoved him. And, I mean, we had to take him to the hospital. Dad was a real small small guy.
Right.
And then that was the last time he ever went up there. He wouldn't go up there no more. You know, I think stuff like this just happens to everybody. And some people are just more willing to talk about it. Because surely it can't just continue happening to people in this family.
This week is the most paranormal thing I've ever experienced. But
You know what I've just connected though? Like, you know how we've been talking about a lot of connections with like Indian burial grounds with Logan County and everything? Like,
You're thinking about man.
yeah,
I know
well,
what you're thinking about man.
the thing that struck me the most is in their family is a strong Indian bloodline. Like their great 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 grandmother, however far down, she was like some kind of
An Indian
she
princess.
was an Indian princess
Me,
in
I
this
was trying
area.
to figure that out last night. I wonder if it was ever coming.
I mean, call it coincidence, call it what you want, but it just clicked on me when they was talking about.
I got another question for y'all. How far away was this place in Man away from the hospital in Man?
all right up the road.
Well, the thing that's really interesting about that is because that is a historically, for lack of better words, haunted area. So the hospital there, which is just like a mile down the road, is a place where tons of phenomena has happened at. And one of the reasons why they say, whether or not this is true, whether this is the cause, but one of the things that they ended up finding is there was a big time settlement of Indians that lived right there in that area. And they've actually found all types of remains right there in that area. So it's another one of the areas where a lot of Native American stuff had happened in that area.
Well, I got curious, and we paid our rent. We literally went to our landlord's house to pay the rent. And I went with Craig one day, and I told Craig, I said, I'm going to ask him, if anybody's ever died in that house because of the experiences we're having. And he said, don't do that, don't do that. And I said, no, I'm going to ask him. So I did, and they just looked at us and started laughing and said, well, we thought you guys knew that used to be a funeral home. And the upstairs part was where they actually, held the bodies until they brought them down for viewing. And that really was helping us put the puzzle together, but I still don't think it was like somebody passed away in the house. And
Right.
I don't believe that.
Right.
It's kind of fascinating that you guys bring up all these events that happened in this home that is connected with death. Because, I mean, you have a category for that in Scripture. I mean, Jesus cast a demon, legion, out of a man who had been hanging out in ritually unclean places. It's a graveyard, right? He's hanging out in a graveyard, and guess what happens? He's possessed by a legion of demons. And so you kind of have that connection there, like this place where death is at, and then the demonic is dwelling in that place. And so, and you have this type of phenomenon like attached to it. So there's actually a biblical category for that. So it's not just like some weird family fact that that has no point of reference. It has a big time point of reference if we're willing to kind of think biblically and think through that lens and allow that to try to dictate our interpretation of these events. So
And too, if Craig and Bob was into witchcraft, you use like Josh was saying, everything has a significance. Graveyard dirt is used in witchcraft a lot. That's crazy.
Like the way that I came to think about it was God was allowing us to see like a little window into the way that these things work.
right, yeah.
Does that seem plausible?
Yeah, I mean, I think that seems plausible. I mean, whatever you have, I'll say this. Even, so you say you have a geographical principality over an area. That is an intelligence, right? And so it's going to manifest itself through patterns, repeatable patterns that you can observe. And so God allowing you to see the patterns is definitely not outside of the realm of possibility, I think. So, yep. I guess that's the bigger question behind all this is pattern, whenever patterns appear, are they random or are they meaningful? And you've got one of two options there, right? It kind of gets back to a conversation that's going on in what's been dubbed the meaning crisis. You know, do things have meaning or do they not have meaning? And so I think that we tend to lean to the side of they do have meaning, and we're not the only people who have thought that throughout history. There are many others as well. So
Coming from the occult, I tend to steer towards if something has meaning, then all things have meaning.
Yeah.
So I think I take a different approach to synchronicity than most.
yeah, well, I would say even as a Christian looking at things like this, I live in a world created by God that participates in His life, in His being, right? And so things can't help but have meaning. There can't help but be patterns. There can't help but be order to the world, because creation is participating in the being of God.
Right.
But listen, if you're really into this stuff, you need to go down to that house in Man.
Okay.
I promise you. Knock on the door and just ask them if they've heard or seen anything in that house.
Okay. You guys have an address?
I don't have an address, but I mean, I know exactly where it's at.
Okay.
I mean, I've always, I know this might sound horrible, but I've always wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Just to, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just to see if they've witnessed anything that I've witnessed, that my family has witnessed.
So Heather had been talking about this house and telling us stories about this house and how she had wanted to go back for all these years. And I think I said something like, let's just go knock on the door and see. And it seemed like at that point, with all of the synchronicities and the recurring weirdness, that if there was a thread out there that we didn't pull on, that we would be missing out, that we needed to go follow every lead we could. So we went down, and on the drive down, I was preparing myself for it to be a complete dead end, for there to be nothing there, not let us in the house, or the house to be gone. Because earlier in the week, we had this lead with caves and mines that had turned out to be nothing, and we'd wasted half a day. So the whole way down, I was confident that the story that we had was good enough at that point, and if nothing happened at this house in Man, that would be fine. And I was so ready for nothing to happen that when something did, I was pretty taken aback by it. So I have to apologize for the quality of the footage here, because at first I didn't think or know that they would even let us use anything, and I started recording without having the camera up or looking at what I was doing. I just wanted to capture whatever audio came out, because when they let us in to that house, it was like uncorking a champagne bottle. It was just, everyone had stories. It was super chaotic. Everyone wanted to get their experiences out. That house was wild.
I got pushed downstairs. So I have to hold
You hear footsteps in here all
I have to walk right here. Since you missed footsteps, I got hit right here. Come down the steps and got pushed off. And my face hit here.
May I shoot video?
Bounced off of this wall. My face hit right here and bounced off. This is the hose all here, and it's been like this since it happened. I had, 2 black eyes, cut my ear halfway off. They pushed me down the top steps.
May I shoot video of this?
Yeah.
Like, I had my doubt when we first come up to the house. Like, these people was gonna think we're crazy. Like, these people was gonna, like, really shut us out the door.
I didn't have doubt that they was going to think that we were crazy, because I knew whoever was living in that house experienced the same thing we experienced. And that blowed me away when he talked about it pushing him down the steps the same way it did my dad.
When I heard that, I was just
Our bedroom was up here, and sent long ways, and she worked at the motel all the time. About 7 o'clock in the morning, I was out of work and forgot the alarm clock got off. So I jumped up and walked through here, went like this, and I was just like, whew. pushed down that wall, and I hit that wall right there where that tape is. I got the mark where the tape is. The tape hit me right there, and I broke my neck right there and went into the other wall.
Relieved, in a way, especially when he was talking about being pushed down the steps. I mean, I know that sounds horrible. I'm not happy that he was pushed down the steps, but you know, I mean, by me telling you guys what had happened to my dad, I mean, that right there just, you know, I don't know, it was
like,
crazy.
it was confirmation.
Yeah, it was definitely confirmation to my story.
You broke your neck doing it? You go to hospital and stuff?
Well, see, that's our first
And it's the
take.
same thing. He said that it put its hands on his shoulders while he was standing at the top of the steps, and it pushed him, just the same as it did my dad.
There was a big hole in the wall where he had went down the
Yeah,
steps.
he went to the hospital
Yeah.
and everything.
And
I mean,
So one of the first things that they talked about when we got in there upstairs were the shadow figures. So, and they reported the shadow figures walking the same pathway that Heather had talked about, their footsteps making the same sound on the same pathway.
Now, if you want to find some ghosts, be in this hallway right here. At night, you would be able to see somebody standing right here. It's a tall man about this high. He doesn't harm anybody or anything. Sorry, I'm feeling nasty. But he just stands there. My bed's usually here. You sleep right here. And like my blind's down, you just see a man standing there. It's sketchy.
at a time like that, I understand where they're coming from, because they're wanting to try to get everything in at one time. You know what I'm saying? So that they're not just going to sit and talk for 20 minutes on him getting pushed down the steps. They're wanting to tell you everything. So you guys hear it too?
Yeah, there'd be, look, this right here at night. So like there'd be a man standing here, this is all you hear.
Oh my God.
This is all you hear.
Yes, it stops and turns around.
Oh, that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and it looks at you for a minute. Then when you look at it, it goes right back.
Well, now see, when I lived in that house, to me it seemed like whatever this is pretty much stayed in that room where the little boy was by the computer. That's where it's, I guess, resting place, whatever it was.
But at night, just get around 3 a.m. if you're laying up. I usually wake up at that time. There'll be a man standing right there looking at me. Nice.
Did you put this up there, the moon?
No, it's been here for years. Yeah, it's been here for years.
So there was this moon hanging upstairs, and the only reason I noticed it at first or took note of it was that Kristen, when we had driven by the house and then we kind of parked to turn around and come back, but while we were parked, she had like rolled down the window and said, "Did you see all those moons on the porch?" And I didn't know then the significance of that moon symbolism until Kristen explained it to me
It's
later.
been here for years and years. Yeah,
You just never took it down?
yeah, it's a little messy.
Oh,
Sorry.
this was my room. And this is where it would
This
get on
same
the bed.
panel.
This is where it would get on the bed.
The only thing is,
Was this here when you were here?
What's that?
The moon?
it's been here for years. I don't even know where this came from.
I believe it was.
That moon's been here for us.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it was. That's so weird. Oh my
It's
gosh.
straight
This,
down there.
y'all have no
Do you
idea.
hear, like, you see these moon pictures, like what we found upstairs, and the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I see this is your tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what made you?
Well, I have tattoos of crows too.
Like, what?
With the Grim Reaper.
The moon that's hanging out front. Did you put that up, or is that here?
No, I put it up.
What's up?
The moon.
Does that have any significance to you, or you're just like
Moon and stars. Just my kind of thing.
But now the trees and the crows and everything, that was just things that was happening to me. So I was like, well, I'm going to put that in my tattoo, you know, because that's me.
Can I ask you some questions that may seem just completely appropriate of
No,
nothing?
you're more welcome. You're more welcome. Say your piece.
You ever see any large birds or flocks of birds?
Yes, crows are always out there. You never see any other bird.
Last summer we had about
Hate 'em.
75 black
Black crows are
crows, just crows around the house.
There's about 5 that live in that tree right there. Every morning you hear 'em.
Oh,
Next
how big
question.
they are.
And we asked them too about birds, if they had any kind of run-in with birds, and they said crows.
Crows.
Outside the house, like a ton
And see,
of crows.
just like that, I mean, little things like that, I forgot all about that stuff until they started mentioning it, and I do remember They was always around that house.
Like the altar that you had in your house, I remember you had like a statue of a crow. Like I found it odd that crows always stayed around like your apartment area, and like they were always there.
That was always
Think about what a carrion eating bird does. What does it do? This is an animal that's coming from the heavens and it eats death, right? So if you were to eat that, you were to be eating death. You would be taking death in yourself. And it's the same thought with eating certain fish. Like Israel wasn't supposed to eat certain fish. Now why? Because the waters are symbolically related to chaos, right? Even in other ancient Near Eastern religions.
Actually, when we walked in that room, that used to be my brother's room, which he had them hanging all around his room. And my brother Craig had dream catchers in his room.
You guys have bad dreams?
Yeah, I have bad dreams.
Yes. Wait.
Then there were these dream catchers, and this room, Heather said that this was Craig's room. This is where Craig stayed, and he had done the same thing with the dream catchers around the room. And even the content of the dreams that the people reported were very similar to the being choked by a demonic presence that Kristen and Misty had reported having even that week.
The same room.
So many.
And even when he moved, he was still into dream catchers. He would put them in all of his rooms.
Too much.
Now my brother,
this
is
something
crazy.
kills me.
This was my brother.
So weird. Like I can never stop having a dream. Something always grabs me by my throat and hangs me. I'm dead.
There's that black figure, and I'm praying and I'm trying to like cast it away in Jesus' name, and it just starts laughing and it says, "We're not going anywhere." And I look up and there's thousands of them all around me. And I just woke up and I swear it felt like somebody just had their hand wrapped around my throat so tight I couldn't breathe.
Wow. Yeah, they all confess to having nightmares.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, they wasn't having good dreams.
What did they say?
That one little boy said that. What was it? He said he had a dream of
the demon
trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'd be getting a dream catcher too if I thought it would work. The whole time my brother stayed in this room, this was his room. He always had the dream catchers.
You kidding me?
No,
not help.
No.
Come on.
No, he kept the dream catchers. Yes.
Now,
which you can even ask them, which this is my son-in-law and this is my daughter, but Craig always had the dream catchers.
Yeah.
Because he always had bad.
That's what I was thinking about when I seen it. I was thinking that's so crazy because like Craig's like kept dream catchers. I kept dream catchers.
I don't know. They was hanging up in the hallway. Something just told me to put them in here. I don't know. Something in my brain clicked and say, take them out of here and hang them up in here. You know.
Did it make any difference?
Huh?
Make any difference to nightmares?
It made, hell yeah, it made a lot of difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm mind-blown.
I know. I mean, just the same things, you know?
Yeah, like, we literally, I feel like them people was listening to us from the living room.
I mean, honestly, I did expect for them to say, yes, you know, we have heard something walking. I never dreamed that he would ever say he was pushed down the steps. That right there is really when it all
Or the fact that
answered all my
boys having dreams, and he has dream catchers in the same room that Craig stayed in.
Aiden said he seen a goat man behind him.
Yeah, Aiden took a picture once to be a goat man. Look,
thing behind my shoulder. It was like some goat head.
Looking thing, he said.
You can see it clear as day, though.
Yeah.
He wishes now he'd have kept the picture.
It was when I was inside the hallway in the middle of it. I took a picture, and then behind my shoulder was a goat man.
I remember you showing it to us.
Yeah.
You got rid of that one.
Yeah, you got rid of that
We got rid of
picture.
all the photos we took in this house.
That's fair.
It's sketchy.
So I guess y'all up at night taking pictures.
No,
that was
Grandma
all
saw us.
As soon as I seen that, I quit.
So we were gonna cut the reference to this photo altogether because we don't have it, obviously. The kids say that they deleted it. But it got interesting when on the way back to Derek and Misty's house, we stopped and met Josh in a parking lot to tell him about the house.
Birds outside the house, flocks of crows, like and they said it's not like they was going like over their neighbor's house, like out. They was like directly above their house all the time.
There's like a particular tree out front or two particular trees he indicated were like massive congregations of crows.
And
the weirdness with the birds at this point is astronomical. Like they're odd. Like at this point, there's no way that any of that is like coincidental. It's everywhere, and like in every thing stretching across multiple generations in a family, and now people outside of that family, people who have shared space with the same people. So,
and they had a picture. Apparently the kids had like gone around after dark in the house trying to like take pictures and see what showed up. And this kid, they said, had a picture taken that he then deleted, so I don't have it. Right. But a picture that he'd taken with like a goat-headed thing behind him.
Isaiah 34:14. Wildcats will meet hyenas. The goat demon will call to his friends, and there Lilith will work and find her resting place.
I don't even know what.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
The wild goat shall cry to his fellow indeed. There Lilith settles and finds for herself a resting place.
Wow. That just gave me chills. So
And we stopped and told Josh about it, and he pulled that up on his phone real quick.
So that is what? Its resting place? Where I lived while I was a child? Well, what I'm saying is okay, when you speak of this Lilith, is this one or is this multiple?
Well, in Legion.
And the reason I'm asking is because it seems like they've went with everybody that's left that house.
Now, there are also some things that I didn't notice at the time while we were in the house. There was just so much going on and so many different stories and experiences. But I started to pick up on them as I was looking back through the footage after getting back. The first thing is the recurrence of the number 3, both in objects in the house and stories that they would tell about their experiences. So everything happened at 3 a.m. All the paranormal activity kicked off around 3 a.m.
But at night, around 3 a.m., if you're laying up, I usually wake up at that time. There'd be a man standing right there looking at me. At night, at 3 a.m., before my grandma closed that basement door, every time at 3 a.m., she would hear a knock on her own door. But everyone would be asleep. I would usually be in the kitchen making stuff. She'd be like, "Who knocked on the door?"
Specific time throughout the night that it was.
Now the knock, it was 3 o'clock every night. He took the stupid basement door off, and I would jump out of that bed. The knocking would be so loud. I would come in here, everyone's asleep, walk outside, and it happened for 4 days until he put the door back.
Live in this house, people that's come here and stayed or visited, have they ever told you that they've seen
Her daughters from Ohio, they stay here and talk to the people and talk to people.
About 3 o'clock in the morning, they were in here.
I've seen about 3 ghosts, a small kid before, tall, about here man, and a taller man.
There were 3 windows blacked out, which Heather later said were the 3 windows she was talking about Craig wanting to black out. They were covered in black sheeting. There were 3 men in the house. There were 3 houses on the property. 3 days before we got there, a 3-year-old child, they said, had died in a fire.
Now see the trailer next door, we own it too. Almost everyone who moves in there dies.
Yep. Gabe died by fire, like
next door,
3 days ago.
next door neighbor was just burned in fire.
But smoke killed him first.
3 years old.
In that trailer next door, and everyone who's lived there dies.
Yeah.
There's 3 adults have died lived there, and a baby just got burnt in a fire, a 3-year-old baby.
They move in there, stay 3
So it's either the land or the trailer.
Move in there, stay 3 months and die.
That's what I think is the land. It's hard telling what's buried under here. See, there was 3 cars that went through this house and went through the yard and stuff, and we seen an old man in town, and he looked at Chris one day and he goes, "You know I know one's been killed, don't you?" He goes, "Because it's holy land." Straight road, 25 speed limit, 3 cars just went through here.
Okay, so early in the week, we had gone to that house on Glenda's property. And given that there were reports of small figures there and our proximity to Eastern Kentucky and the potential cultic connection via Aracoma and the Shawnee to the Mothman Flap, and the fact that there was this other very prominent case in the paranormal world at the time involving mines and caves and small figures and the Mothman Flap, we were looking for mines and cave entrances to check out. And all right, given the involvement of this other prominent case with what's called the secret cipher of the Euphonauts, I had really not taking it seriously, not as seriously as I would now, just almost as a joke, because it seemed like this thing would return whatever. It would return, it was all in the interpretation of the person looking at it. So I had fed this thing a few phrases that were descriptive of things that stood out to us in that house where the small figures were reported. And one of the phrases that came back with multiple entries was hold bear. And at the same time, because we were looking at caves and mines, Josh and Richie and I had been talking about trying to find a mine entrance up near Josh's home. And I had, completely as a joke, I had said, oh, it says here, hold bear. We better not go check out any caves. And I didn't even remember that until when I got back with the footage from that house in Man. The first thing that the camera opens on is a shot of 4 bears standing in the living room in front of the TV. One says, when they're holding signs, the bears are holding, and the one sign says, welcome, and then go away. There were a lot of bears in this house. These were some bear holding people. It seemed like, as I was looking through the footage, like every wall, anything I pointed the camera at, there was a bear or bear symbolism there. In some of the dream catchers, on the blanket that the ladies sat on every wall in the house. The upstairs closet was full of them. The TV stand, there were places all over the house. Lots and lots of bears. To the point where I was like, that's enough bear, hold the bear, please. It's hard to describe the feeling of when you realize that you know something or saw something that you weren't meant to or that you shouldn't have. It's like you touched touched a live wire in the building of reality or something. And I can absolutely see how that feeling of gaining secret knowledge could become absolutely addictive, and you could become obsessed with it, for sure. And I think I know now what my dad was talking about when he said that I was in grave spiritual danger working on this. Then it wasn't until months after, I mean this like just a few weeks ago, I was watching back through and noticed a couple of times the one kid mentions some weird stuff about the bears too that I had totally ignored in the moment.
Take it home. When we start praying, take it home.
Just like the bears. Every day a bear's in a new
Notice
spot.
we keep Bibles here.
Yes, we got like pins. So.
Yeah, that moon's been there for
And
years.
this bear randomly spawned there. I don't know where that came from. I don't think we're crazy.
So that night, after we had come back and discussed what we found at the man house and told Misty about it, the last thing I wanted to get was Kristen explaining the significance of her tattoos. And so she had gone upstairs and changed so she could show the tattoos, and she had come back down, and we shot her explaining them. Now, her tattoos are full of symbolism that's connected in an explicit way, and also in a way that I don't think she was even aware when she got them of how it would connect to everything that was happening to us too, and that house at Man. After we were done, I packed up the camera and I put it away, and I think I was still kneeling there at the case when, of course, I heard Misty yell in the hallway. And so I think I had the thought right there. I thought, of course, I've got the camera packed away, of course something's gonna happen. So I scrambled to get the camera built back. I get it, and I get around the corner, and I see there's water pouring out of a light fixture, and there's water standing in the floor of the hallway, on the first floor. We go to run upstairs, and as we run past the room the kids are in, the door slams. Now, there's no window open in there. We tried to recreate it, and we couldn't get the door to even move with people running past.
How would that happen? When we went by the kids' door, I swear the door slammed. Why did it do that? It slammed.
Just now when you went up
Yes.
there? They didn't slam it?
No, they was all sitting down. That's why I
Did they see it? Did they hear it?
Did you see the door slam? Gavin. Yeah, it was like this. And when we walked by it, y'all was sitting in the chairs, y'all didn't get up?
No. No, we was...
You guys didn't close that door?
No, we was just like, I think we're gonna be on the camera now. Like we was in here playing the Xbox the whole time.
Like I got right here, and we was walking past like running.
Try and walk past it fast.
Okay. Libby, quit.
Wait, we're gonna leave it like this. Just see what happens. Walk past it real fast.
No way.
And it doesn't move.
There's no way.
The kids thought it was us, we thought it was the kids. Down to the end of the hallway, and we look in the master bathroom, there's water standing in the floor. There's no source, there's no leak, there's just water. We go, so I know, because I had continuous time code running on the cameras, I know that the maximum time it could have been from the time Kristen was in that bathroom till we saw water pooled in the floor downstairs was 10 minutes. That's as long as it could have been. So somehow there came to be a whole bunch of water in the floor of that master bathroom after Kristen was in it. And within 10 minutes, at most, that water was running out of a light fixture downstairs, pooling in the floor, and running down the siding outside of the house.
No, I'm staying with y'all tonight. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh. Go get me some towels.
There's water coming out of your siding.
What? Coming out of the siding. There's water coming out of the siding, she said. What?
Trying to dress.
What? Why would it come out of the siding? I literally was just up here. Nothing was on. I don't understand how it would come out of the siding. Where did it come from?
I mean, you got it coming out of your siding outside. What are you talking about?
And inside.
Oh, maybe not.
I got some towels.
Thank you, baby.
Siding. Watch out, Gavin.
Gavin, watch out.
See where it's dripping out?
The bathroom is directly over top of right here. So I'm not gonna, there's probably water that's tracing through joists that's coming out to here. I mean, there ain't no sort of water source that's over here.
In August of this year, I went down and met with Josh and Richie and Travis of the Sword and Staff podcast. And I took the footage of the flooding down to show them. I wanted to know what they thought of it and sort of what they thought of the case overall. What conclusions, if any, what direction was was this pointing?
Yeah, walking for us is wild, given the context of what.
Given the context of what we'll talk about, not that Holler forearms going to be really
interesting.
wild.
The triple moon goddess and the bird symbolism
That's
together.
really
interesting.
But she thought that she had.
Oh wow! It's
Oh my
linking
God.
through the lights. Okay.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Okay, this is a lot more than what I thought.
Yeah, this is a lot.
Yeah.
Give it a minute. It's running down the outside of the house too.
On the outside of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like a leak that, like it happened again later on. Like
This was a one-time event, and there was never any. Like, I remember when it happened, and I remember them telling me about it, but not being there, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking when you all told me about it. But, okay, it's a leaky pipe.
Yeah.
Like,
no, they never.
like this is something different than that.
Yeah, no, they never repaired any pipes. This was a one-off thing. Nothing like this has happened. There were 2 years after this event. Nothing like this has ever happened since then.
Misty, is that the picture you said was laying in the floor the other day?
What picture? That picture. Better not be laying on the floor. The one on the
The
wall.
whole house is really flooded.
No.
Wait, what happened to that picture?
So, the other night after we done our interviews here,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I had cooked. Me and Olivia cooked on the stove. I went from the stove to the bathroom, and it was just us, like me and my kids here. So I was in the bathroom. The door was open because it was just me and the kids here. And right above this bench in here, there's like a I don't even know what it is. It's like a window.
Are you talking about this angel? The thing that says angel on it? No, this is the thing.
This. So this on the back of this is like it's hooks. Like so, you would have to like pick it. You like have to pick up on it, and it's heavy. Yeah, this is heavy. So I go to the bathroom. I come back in here, and both the kids were sitting on the couch, and this was literally laying right there, just like that. Right there, just like that.
Object manipulation too.
Literally just laying there, and I'm like I couldn't even walk through here. Like obviously I see it, and I'm like, how did that just get there? Because I was using the bathroom. I would have seen one of the kids standing.
Am I the only one that saw a
Get
window
off
on the
wall.
ground? Like,
It reminds me of a window, like a portal.
And it would have hit that, yeah.
It just okay. To make sure I'm not missing anything, there was no identifiable source for the water. Like they couldn't pinpoint where it came from. Like it wasn't a pipe burst.
They assumed it was coming from the toilet. It did not come from the toilet. Derek was able to flush the toilet afterwards with no issues whatsoever.
Like they couldn't find a point where it was flowing out from like the pipe, the sink, anything.
No. Ward.
No water was on.
No water was on. Nothing out of the ordinary.
So if you asked them, they would be telling me that the water literally like manifested from the floor, like from out of nowhere.
They would say that there was no identifiable source of the water. They suspected at the time, just because of the chaos of the situation, that it must have been an overflowing toilet. But there's no overflowing toilet.
Just like spontaneous combustion with fire, spontaneous sort of puddling of water is classic poltergeist phenomenon.
Ward thought that with that amount of water, it must have been a burst pipe. There was no burst pipe.
Well, I've read about cases where investigators would be in a house with really strong poltergeist phenomena, and there would be water manifesting, like pouring out of light sockets, out of the walls, puddling in the floors. There would be footprints in water going through the house.
Kristen was in the bathroom right before this happened.
Before it happened?
And there was
makes complete sense. Paranormally speaking, makes complete sense.
Well, did she say that Kristen was there the day that the picture was on the floor too? Or
yeah, Kristen. I think Kristen was one that found. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with psychokinesis and poltergeist activity. You have an agent, a person that's manifesting literally being a catalyst for the activity, and all of it's happening around the person.
Yeah.
So.
I don't even know what happened with the commode, because the commode's working fine. I don't know.
Did you turn the water back onto it?
Yeah, the commode filled up fine. Everything filled up fine. Flushed the commode. No water leaking nowhere. I don't understand.
How would that much water
That's what I'm saying.
in between?
Just like 5 minutes, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not buying.
Yeah, it was literally 5 minutes. Kristen just went up there. Kristen just went up there to get lotion to put on her tattoos. Mommy! She went up there.
Like, I kind of shared the same view that you did. Like, I mean, like, I remember when this happened, and I remember getting the call about it. It's like, oh, you know.
Yeah, because you talked to it was just in passing. Like, yeah, it was something weird. Maybe it means something. Maybe it don't.
Yeah, I didn't understand the extent.
In full context, it carries a lot more weight than what I thought.
Well, that and we're 2 years after this event.
Yeah.
This was recorded in 2020. We're in 2022 now. I know for a fact that there have been no events like this happen since this time. I know that there weren't any leaky pipes, nothing. And so for me, that says a lot.
Yeah, that does.
If you would have asked me this back in 2020, I would have probably.
And you did ask me this back in 2020, and my thoughts were, okay, they're there doing a documentary on the paranormal. So they've got this lens already in place. Okay, we're looking for the paranormal.
We're projecting.
Yeah. Okay, now all of a sudden there's a leaky pipe somewhere. This is paranormal.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought. But now, just knowing now that there's no natural source, that the water just seemingly manifests in there, and knowing that that sort of manifestation is linked to poltergeist activity, high strangeness, high energy hauntings, it carries a lot more weight
and
for
the
me now.
object displacement.
Yeah, object manipulation, the element manipulation with fire and water. Those are things that are tied to poltergeist activity.
And the symbolism, the picture
Of the
that was
window
on
on
the
the
floor
ground,
looked
yeah.
like a window, and then the water, like we say, it's like a symbol for chaos.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Whenever you look at water biblically, that's what it's related to. Right? Like it's not only that, but like even like other ancient Near Eastern religions, you always have like a deity that comes from the water, and they represent chaos and that kind of thing. And then the biblical worldview, you kind of have the opposite of that. You have God bringing order to it. You have the Spirit hovering over the waters. But then you see whenever God's hand kind of relents, right? That like with the flood in Genesis 6, water becomes an agent of chaos. In some ways, it's used for life as well, because you got rivers flowing out of Eden, but it's definitely used as a symbol of chaos.
When the Jonah story goes
That's
to
right.
the depths of
Yeah,
Sheol.
the depths of Sheol. That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Underworld.
Yeah, the underworld, the chaos.
That's right. Underworld.
The waters. Yeah.
So, I mean, for balance, you'd have to almost leave in the possibility for this to be, even though we don't know what caused it, a natural explanation.
Yeah.
But giving everything else stacked on top of it, like the object manipulation, Kristen being a catalyst for activity, being in the house when it happens, and it not happening before or after that.
Yeah.
That gives a lot more weight.
Yeah.
To the experience.
It does. Yeah. I agree. Whatever it is that we're doing now, whatever this thing is that we're trying to pin down now in greater Appalachia, I guess. Like, I think that if you, it go figuring out what it is and how it's doing what it does, for lack of better words, it also goes hand in hand with telling the story of this era, what I would call the mytho-historical story, I guess, of this area. Because you can't separate those things. Like, you can look at people in history, but the reality is that they were all living within stories that situated themselves in a narrative, you know what I mean? Like the Native Americans had a mythology that they situated themselves in, which is on stones down in Salt Rock, and other places. So, like, whatever it is that we're doing now, that story also has to be told along with it. Because if you don't tell that story, you're going to actually lose a lot of the grounding that you need for making the case for why things are the way that they are now. It's kind of like everybody is experiencing something here, but nobody knows why.
Exactly.
And it's because the mytho-historical story has been lost, and we don't know it. We don't know who was here before us and what they were doing and why they were doing it and how they viewed themselves as they were doing it. And those things actually have really, really big implications geographically, bigger implications than we would think that they do. So we've had almost 2 years to sit and to really think about this thing, to track down leads, to go down the rabbit hole. So all of the footage that everybody has seen so far is 2020. We're in 2022 now, so a lot of time has passed since then. So the conclusion I think that we have kind of come to is that we believe that Kristen was in contact via ritual, attention, all of those things, with a category of a being called a Lilith, a Lilatu, or a Lil, also called Lilith in the biblical worldview. This is an entry from an academic source. It's called the Dictionary of Deities and Demons. Here's the entry on Lilith. So the Hebrew term Lilith as a demon in Isaiah 34:14 is connected by popular etymology with the word Layla, which means night. From the term Lil, which was the Sumerian word, we can see that these demons, plural, are related to the stormy winds. It is a type of demonic being given dominion over the stormy winds, and the example that it gives is that it flees from a house through the window. Through the window. Right.
The window on the floor.
Right. Yeah, through the window.
The window on the floor.
Josh is just like in the moment, shook.
Yes.
Like the window on the floor.
It ties in perfect.
The symbolism.
And we didn't know that whenever
Yeah.
you found this source.
No.
We didn't know anything about that.
It's literally speaking symbolically to you.
I didn't think about the window until you literally just said that.
I could tell.
Yeah.
Good.
Like I've seen it run through your face. Yeah.
And the same thing with the birds.
Yeah. We've seen
You know
it.
what's freaking bizarre about that?
Like we're just wait a minute.
When it happened, I was like, what's weird about this is it's not the language that I was used to looking at. Like, because at that point, we talked about the bird thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's weird that whatever it
Window. Water not making sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to look at the activity, and you have to ask, what is the communicated message here? Like, if it's intelligence, then obviously the activity is meant to convey something.
Well,
so, what's meant by the activity? Is this demonic activity, and this being trying to manifest this stuff to scare people, to cause a stir? Is this the being trying to speak to somebody, like to communicate a message? Like, you have to really ponder what's going on there.
I've got chills with what I'm
Josh is holding something back here.
There was no way we could have ever connected those dots.
No.
Until this very moment.
Not at the moment.
Until this very moment, right now.
Yeah. Ward didn't know anything about this. We knew nothing about that.
So many.
I almost cut the window out of that sequence because I was like, this isn't related. It's not like.
And honestly, I don't think had we paid attention to it then, we wouldn't understand the depth of the symbolism.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, looking back at this in 2020, we did not have the information to actually look at this and to make sense of it.
Yeah, from a paranormal perspective, I'd look at that on there. It's like, okay, that's simple object manipulation.
We didn't have the information until a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know whenever I printed this off today that this would connect in with what we were going to see today.
Yeah.
Like, just so happened in the providence of God, synchronicity.
Synchronicity.
That's how it all ended up working out. Okay. All right.
Which is the language of this case, synchronicity.
Has been
absolutely
since the beginning. Chase, I'm gonna kiss your bride. popular belief, Lilith became not only the grandmother of the devil or the devil himself, but also the arch mother of witchcraft and witches.
Yep.
Here's where the bridge happens. Was there a Lilu here in Appalachia?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely that there was. In the first place, the Shawnee creator, as envisioned today, is said to have actually been a woman. She is known by various names, but it's usually simply referred to as our grandmother.
The crone.
The crone.
Yep.
And her name is Coalfields. A series of creation myths obtained from various Shawnee informants credit our grandmother with the first creation of the world, residence on Earth during the first creation, the peopling of the first world, an escape to an upper region at the time of the flood, the creation of a second or new world after the flood, the creation of the first man and the woman after the new Earth, misplaced genitalia on first humans.
Misplaced genitalia. The
Yep.
transvestite Lilith from the generation back.
Yep. That's right. Yep.
It's a geographical being that goes all the way back to Deuteronomy 32, the Tower of Babel.
That's right.
All the
You talk about maps and archetypes and facades. This is the phenomenon. This is the principality.
Yeah, that's right. And all of the phenomena in, not just in Kristen's life with the demonic, but scattered across Appalachia,
Yep.
emanates from this being. Even in the Shawnee myth, the Birdmen and stuff like that was like elemental spirits.
They were servants
that
of
work,
Coalfields.
that's right, servants of Coalfields.
Yep.
So my theory is that all of this other stuff that you see, whether it be UFOs, ghosts, cryptids like the Mothman, are also servants of this principality.
Absolutely.
And that those are just modern masks that the phenomenon is wearing.
Yep.
It's not just the Kristen, it's not just her family, it's not the people, but it's the place also.
That's right.
I literally said last night, I said, I suspect that we will encounter some owls, and you know that you're on the right track whenever that happens.
There it is.
Well, there it is. Gordon, how you feeling?
Good. Good. It's weird being back here.